The Fringe Podcast, Season 5, Episode 3. Fan feedback for Transilience Thought Unifier Model-11. Phew.
Hi, this is Michael Cerverus. I am the observer on Fox's Fringe, and I'll be watching you while you're listening to the Fringe Podcast.
Support for the Fringe Podcast is provided by listeners like you and by this week's sponsor, Global Cash Card. Learn how Global Cash Card provides world-class solutions for pay cards, gift cards, per diem cards, flex cards, and more by visiting thefringepodcast.com/globalcashcard today. Welcome back to the Fringe Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Fox television show
Drexel's Class.
I got nothing.
I think I remember this one.
Okay.
It had that. Did it have Dabney Coleman in it?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's look it up.
Okay. That's going to be quite a memory if it turns out to be the case. Drexel's Class, yeah, Drexells. It was part of the 1991-1992 Fox lineup. Starring Dabney Coleman.
I've seen this.
Well done, Clint.
I've actually seen one of these. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we watched it. I remember one scene from it.
Okay.
This kid came in and he was trying to get out of class or something, get sent to the nurse's office at school. He comes in holding his elbow and he says, "Ow, I need to go to the nurse. I think I fractured my uterus."
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Is that the guy that was Major Dad?
No.
Who was that guy?
Gerald McCraney.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at him.
Dabney Coleman was like the boss on 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton.
Okay. Yep.
In the movie.
All right. Well, there you go. Trip down memory lane with
Yes.
Clint and his uterus stories. Oh, man. We got some great feedback in for this week's episode. Again, we're talking about the Season 5 premiere Transilience Thought Unifier Model-11. So what do you say we get it kicked off with some Bunsen burners, Clint?
All right.
Okay. You want to take the first one or shall I?
Oh, go ahead.
All right, this first one comes in from They Are Coming with Pie, which is Brandon. He did the summer rewatch with us, and he even sent this in this week.
They are coming to listen to the Fringe Podcast.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
He did a little observer voice when he was he did the observer voice for the entire podcast.
That's creepy.
It was hilarious. But anyway, They Are Coming with Pie. Gave it 8 out of 10. Egg sticks and stones may break my bones, but observer torture can never... What was I saying?
Okay. Expendable Gerbil gave it 8.5, apparently diamond-filled walnuts.
All right. Linda Is Lost gave it 10 double-word scores.
Philip Bishop, 14, gave it 8.75. Evil Observer Matrix Torture with egg stick on the side.
Nice. Zeppelin Driver gave it 9.0 Nagahide Pleathers.
Laura H.T. Dot gave it 9. Person, Place, or Thing. Person and Thing, the Olivia Coffee Table.
Nice. Although that would be a cool, not with an actual person inside of it, but if there was a way to get a Fringe Amber thing as a coffee table, wouldn't that be cool?
Like to have Anna Torv in a coffee table?
No. I'm just saying a block of amber for a coffee table. Person optional, but person would be pretty cool.
Yeah, or something in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a T-Rex bone or something.
Or a dog.
Yeah.
What?
I think that'd be cool.
That's disgusting.
Melchizedek gave it 8 Borgservers, and I think he's probably talking about this line that we heard.
Resistance is futile.
Do you like that?
That was, wow. You got a lot of sound clips today.
Oh, I'm ready, man. The listeners sent this stuff in.
All right.
Yeah, they equipped me.
Little Hill with the L's as ones, except for the first one, which is capitalized. gave it 9.2 egg sticks equals punishment food from a miserable future.
23 gave it 9.5 nuts in my hands.
Okay. Hidalda gave it 10 egg stick scrambles you. In communist Russia, egg stick scrambles you. That's how I should have read it.
Uh-huh. Robin gave it 9 Markham kisses.
Oh.
I love just the face you made when you did that was hilarious to me.
Fahrenheit 533 gave it 9 amber coffee tables.
The Unibeefer gave it, I still say 40 invading observers out of 10, but if it has to stay 10, then 10. All right.
Hydra Island gave it 9 crazy shaky mind tricks.
Straight 1337 gave it 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, nothing.
That's right.
Fill in the blank. Kyle M gave it 10 unrequited coffee table loves.
Nixie gave it 9 facial tattoos out of 10.
Boston Red Vines gave it 9 out of 10 Yaz CDs.
TJM gave it 8 disturbing lacks of Gene the cow.
Oh, yeah.
We
What
didn't
happened to
talk about
Gene?
You think we'll get any Gene love this season?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's no cows. There's nothing for them to eat anymore.
It'll be a robotic Gene.
Robotic Gene.
Mm-hmm.
V-Man Funk gave it 10 bloody noses.
Sci-Fi Fan 30 gave it 9 coffee table olives.
Fleet Alex gave it 9 dandelions of hope.
Algaron gave it 9 cases of red eye.
Tigruber gave it 9.7 body snatching, soul magnet wearing, walnut eating amber gypsies.
Nice.
I like that.
That's good. Cold Fusion gave it 9.2 future fighting families.
Jenny from Ohio gave it 9 Peters playing dead.
Penny gave it 9.5 sleeping Olivia's waking without a kiss.
Vilma gave it 9 nasty egg sticks. Did you ever burn an egg stick?
No,
They really stink.
I bet they do.
Yeah.
If you light a match, it'll get rid of that smell. Yoga Bond gave it 8 excellent brain souvenirs.
Momentum Deferred gave it 9.5 combat boots are better than pants any day.
I like that. Walternates Do gave it 8.5 Wally daisies.
Directive.
Like that. Just got to figure out what to do with that spork.
Directive. Curb Noise gave it 9 out of 10 creepy coffee tables.
Foxy Fringe Chick gave it 9 mother and child reunion.
New Dana gave it 9 tough Etta, hey, hey, hey. You're my daughter, Etta's. Hey, 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 hey.
Security Nerdette gave it 9 All I Ever Knew, Only You.
That's the lyric from the song.
You want me to sing it?
Yeah, you have to sing it. No, you don't have to sing it. Okay.
I could. I know the tune, but no, I'll leave the singing to you.
Totally Addicted gave it 8 heart-wrenching consequences of lost time.
B Dilla 83 gave it 2 out of 1.
Wow.
Not sure what that means. Maybe it's a 20 out of 10.
That's a 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dominga? Did I say that right?
Sure.
And Dominga gave it 9.5 out of 10. Lowenshans, which is German for dandelion.
Very nice. Fringe Peaks, I like that name, gave it 9.125 musical mystery tours.
Yeah, man. Diva Jean gave it 10 Olivia-style coffee tables.
Alabama Fringe gave it 9.5 Terminator-style flashbacks for Peter.
Right.
Yep.
Zero Fights is invalidated. But in case you want to hear his rating, he gave it 7.2036 Pantless Walter with or without memory.
You see what he did there? 7.2036.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was close to your score. There's no surprise.
Huh.
Two of you think so much alike. Melly Mac gave it 9.5 coffee table Olivia's.
Guest 0912 gave it 9.5 3K walnuts.
Witzker gave it 9 disgusting nosebleeds.
Walter in Jacksonville gave it 8 final seasons.
Blue Eagle gave it 8 creepy Markhams with Prince Charming complexes.
Alterna Cat gave it 9.5 80s techno flashbacks.
Trish Cape Cod gave it 8.5 wall Walter Nuts.
Walter Nuts. The Meat Tornado gave it 8.5 miserable futures caused by egg sticks.
Bonk P gave it 9.2 coffee tables.
Clark and R gave it 9. Walter is Charles de Gaulle, circa 1941.
Langley gave it 9 trippy mixes.
Carla 73 gave it 9 exploding eyeballs.
Aggie Fringy gave it 10 bad
Watermelon.
bishops.
I thought it was Bada Bishops. Bada Bishop.
It does. The way it guy has asterisks instead of the S's.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Bada Bishop.
Bada bishops. I like that.
Maureen Paolini gave it 9 dandelions of doom. I would give it 10, but I think it'll get better.
Oh, nice. Dean gave it, it's always a 9, unless it's a 10. So I'm guessing it's a 9.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Bad Wobot gave it 9.5 songs in the key of Fringe.
Password gave it 9 last Fringe season premieres.
Monarch gave it 9 Amber Olivia coffee tables.
Ebony Jet 7 gave it 10 scorched earth defying dandelions.
Denef gave it 10 times the Etta made Daddy proud.
Lost to Fringe gave it 10 minutes of tears.
Top Army Sarge gave it 10 walnuts for your Amber.
My Name is Earl gave it 10 even. Carmageddon 2 cannot stop the Fringe Express.
Nerdy Baker gave it 9.5 undervalued walnuts.
Go Galt gave it 9 utterly useless Transilience thought unifiers.
The Other Dean gave it 9.2 amazing blasts from the past.
And finally, Green Peter gave it 10 Markham's in Love.
Markham's in love. Can't keep our hearts in jail.
Wow. That was interesting. No.
Have you ever seen The Producers?
No.
The original?
Is that a movie?
Yes.
With actors?
It's a movie based on a Broadway musical.
Oh, kind of like Chicago.
Based on a movie based on a Broadway musical.
Oh, that's even weirder.
If you count the remake. Yeah, they made this movie in the 60s. And then they decided to bring it to Broadway. And then after they brought it to Broadway, they decided to remake it into a movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So next it's going to be a Broadway. Yeah, Springtime for Hitler. That's right. Springtime for Hitler and Germany. Winter for Poland and France. You've never seen this?
No.
Oh, come on.
Sorry. You in the chat room have obviously seen it. That I'm out in the cold. You know, shocker. There's a movie I haven't seen. You know?
Yes.
Anyways, I was going to ask you, we didn't really talk about this in the last podcast, but now that one of the Bunsen burners here towards the end said this was the last season premiere we're going to get a Fringe. So how does it stack up? With the pilot, we have Olivia crashing through the windshield. Season 3, we had... What do we have in season? What was the premiere there?
Of season 3,
Mm-hmm.
it was the Redverse. Remember?
No.
Everything was in the Redverse.
Was that in the premiere?
I think so.
Okay. And then season 4, of course, without Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one. So how do they stack up?
Oh, man. Pilot. I'd put the pilot at the top.
Okay.
Olivia through the windshield second. I'd almost put them in reverse order, to be honest.
Are you serious? I think I would do pilot, Olivia through the windshield, this one, and then 3, and then 4. So the last one would be without Peter.
So we just have them switched. We just have 1 and 3 switched. Or 1 and
1 and 5. Or no,
3 and 5.
3 and 5.
The only other possibility that it could be.
Yeah, we said every other number, yeah.
Unless you count Letters of Transit as the actual season premiere for 5.
And you very well could.
And then I would agree with your assessment.
Yeah. That's a very astute observation there, Clint. All right. Well, we got tons of feedback in for this week's podcast. Thanks to everybody who sent in their Bunsen burner. We certainly appreciate that. Let's play the music. Let's hear what you had to say. All right. We're going to get it kicked off this week with our friend Chip from North Carolina.
Hey guys, it's Chip calling from sunny Pine Knoll Shores, North Carolina. It's great to have everybody back, and wow, what an episode last night. I mean, it had everything. There was drama, action, suspense, tension, a little romance, and oh, who am I kidding? I didn't get to see the episode at all, and it's killing me. I can't get on the internet. I'm out of town. I'm not having access to television. I don't know what's going on. Season 5 has kicked off, and I'm out of the loop, and I'm jonesing here. This is terrible, and I won't get to see it till probably tomorrow. Man, it's a cruel beginning to an awesome ending, I hope. But, hey, I'm glad everybody's back. The summer rewatch was awesome. It was great with the recap last week, having Clint back in the seat there with Daryl. And all I can say is we may be having a dystopian future to look at, but I still want my happy ending, damn it. Great to have you back, guys.
He had me going when I first heard it, too. I saw the look on your face when he revealed that he hadn't seen it yet. That's why I played it, because it was so well done.
It is. He's got the blues.
Uh-huh. Hopefully by now he's had a chance to see it.
So bad. He's got the, I haven't seen Fringe, so I've got to call in and leave feedback because I haven't seen it, I can't see it, and I'm jonesing for Fringe blues. No, okay. You can cut that out.
No, that's a little magical right there. I'm going to leave that in. All right. Well, thanks, Chip, and let's move on to Kome.
Hey, guys. This is Kome from Savannah, Georgia. I'm calling about the Fringe recent episode. This is a Fringe feedback. I really liked this episode. I gave it a 9.0 out of 10 weird future foods. So this episode was a really good setup for the final season. I think they did a good job, an excellent job of showing us how bad the future is, and they also did a really good job of telling us and showing us how bad the future is. And a good example of that would be the egg sticks. I don't have any theories at this juncture. Just 3 observations. First off, Etta is extremely cold-blooded. I don't think that I've seen any of the good guys or the protagonists be as cold-blooded as she was when she killed that observer follower. I think the only other time I've seen one of the protagonists be that cold-blooded was Peter in Reciprocity, and also for Olivia in season 3. Another observation is Peter and Olivia just can't get a break. Every time they get together, something happens that splits them apart. It seems to have happened again back in 2015. Hopefully they can get their stuff back together and stay married for the finale. And the final observation was the final scene of this episode I thought was fantastic. John Noble is a tremendous actor. The writers and the directors did a great job with music and everything. I don't see how John Noble is not going to win an Emmy ever for this show, especially with scenes like this. He is a tremendous actor, and he did that scene by himself with nothing, no other people on the scene, nothing exploding around him, just pure emotion. Great job by John Noble. Great job by the Fringe production staff. Really good episode. I'm looking forward to the season. 12 more episodes to go, unfortunately, but it seems like we're going to have a good rundown for the finale of Fringe. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Take care. Bye.
All right. I think Kome brings up an interesting point about Etta.
Being cold-blooded?
She's a cold-blooded snake.
If you look into her eyes.
You know she'd be telling lies.
Yeah. You're not going to sing that?
No,
really?
No, I'm not. But I think he brings up a good point. You know, that could be some mystery that they infuse into the season. Maybe she's really a bad person. And Olivia and Peter are going to have to come to grips with the fact that they've kind of created this monster who's fighting for humanity but has lost hers in the process.
Yeah.
Something
that's
to
a
think about.
really interesting wrinkle. So that could be some of the mystery, maybe as the season progresses, how will her character resolve? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because there's the other thing. If her entire life has been fighting the resistance, once that resistance is gone, what do you have now left to live for? What does your life look like?
Well, that's why it's futile.
Mm-hmm.
Resistance is futile.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that somewhere before. I can't quite put my finger on it.
I think it's the Borg, isn't it?
The Borg. I don't know what that is.
The Borg. It's a bunch of cyborgs from Doctor Who.
Oh, from Doctor Who.
Yes.
Okay. Before you send us hate mail, folks, we're kidding. We know exactly what that is. Oh man, hopefully we had a few of you going like Chip did us a minute ago. I think Comey makes a good point though. Back to his voicemail.
So, but I have to say, that gives you a little bit more credibility in your theory.
What do you mean?
The fact that they said something that was very Borg-like.
Uh-huh. Oh, you're talking about the androids?
Maybe they're androids.
Maybe they are. Yeah.
Maybe the shapeshifters are the...
Well, they definitely have a collective consciousness like the Borg do.
I like that theory, Daryl.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It did not even cross my thought pattern until you mentioned it. I like it.
Cool.
The more I think about it, the more I like it.
Very cool. Well, if it comes true, it'll be one of my prouder moments of this podcast.
You better rub Patrick Stewart's head for good luck.
Trust me, if I ever run into Patrick Stewart, I doubt rubbing his head will be the first thing I do.
Daryl, I would. I'm not a very rich man, but I would write you a check for $250 if you ever met Sir Patrick Stewart
and rubbed his head.
If you walked up to him and instead of shaking his hand, just rubbed his head.
Yeah, that was for good luck. Thanks, Pat. See you later.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, let's see what Shane had to say.
Hello, this is Shane from Pennsylvania calling for the Fringe podcast, Season 5, Episode 1. What a great beginning to the season. There are a whole lot of new questions that they've raised, a whole lot of answers that we were given on some things, and they look very good for a post-apocalyptic world. That might be the wrong show, though. But for being trapped in Amber, they do look very good. Markham even looks good, considering he wasn't in Amber. What's up with Markham, anyway? In the erased timeline, I guess you'd say it, he didn't recognize Peter and Olivia when they went into his shop. Did they have some sort of relationship after that and talking about the cult that was supposed to be ZFT, or are we supposed to believe that Markham somehow regained his memories too? These are all just some questions that I have. And what about Etta? If she disappeared from her parents, who did she reunite with? How did they get together? Or is this even the Etta that they remember? Did Peter, who it turns out all but admitted in these words that he is not a better man than his father, did Peter do something to not just decide to not save the world? Did he do something to actively destroy it? Well, we don't know, and we'll have a very too short season, but I'm glad it's here. And this is Shane from Pennsylvania signing off, saying, I'm sure this season is better than its former.
All right. So he's got an interesting question there, or several interesting questions. I like what he said about Markham, because I hadn't really thought about the gaps there in that story, because Markham didn't know Peter or Olivia until they came to see him for the one time in season 4 because of the reset timeline.
Right.
So when Peter walks in to his apartment in this episode, he instantly recognizes him. What do you think?
Well, maybe he instantly recognizes him because that was the first time that he saw Olivia.
And she made that big of an impact on him.
Yeah, and he fell in love with her.
I think that's a possibility. I think it's possible that they made several other trips back to the bookstore that we never saw, because it seemed like Peter, visited that bookstore with some regularity.
Yep.
You never know. But
that's true.
It definitely seems like he would have the knowledge of Olivia and Peter that we would have had expected had the reset never occurred in season 4. So we just don't know.
That's true. It's a good thought, though.
Definitely.
Something I didn't think about.
Yeah. Any other comments on what Shane had to say there?
Oh, I had one, but I lost it.
He talked about the Peter, being a better man than his father, and then he also talked about maybe Peter did something. I didn't.
Yeah, I think what he was saying is, we don't know the whole story. Maybe he helped the observers in some fashion before they got ambered.
I see.
That he feels bad about, maybe he made a deal with the observers to get his daughter back and did something he regrets. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? That's a good point. Good point. All right, let's listen to one more. This is going to come in from Totally Addicted.
Hi, this is Hannah, also known as Totally Addicted, in the chat room. I just watched the premiere about 1 billion times. I can't stop watching it. It's so good. I wanted to record my thoughts and send them in. I was thinking a lot of people in the chat room and around have been saying that it seems kind of weird that after everything, it was articles that I've read, that it seems kind of weird that after everything that Peter and Olivia have been through, that Olivia would just leave and get up and go to New York and, give up everything, even through what they've been through in seasons 3 and 4 and everything. But if you think about it, it's really speaks to her character, because even, for example, when the whole Faux Olivia thing happened, and when Faux Olivia took over her life and slept with Peter and had a relationship and everything, she came back after that and she went directly to work. She was advised not to, but she did. And also, as an abused child, she probably has things to work out herself, and she always has been able to kind of lock things in and push them aside, segment them, and keep going forward. And for her, the whole big thing was saving the world. She didn't forget Etta. She never did. She said when she first reunited with her that there was never a moment that she wasn't thinking about her. It's just she had a different way of dealing with her grief, like she mentioned as well when she was talking to Peter. She had to go and keep fighting for the world, but Peter couldn't do that, which was a beautiful scene. It was amazing. And it's very clear that Etta's going to be a daddy's girl for sure. It was a great scene. Markham totally creeped me out, and I was excited for him to come back at first, but then he was very obsessed with Liv and having her as a coffee table. It was just so weird. But the reunion scene was beautiful. The scene with her, Olivia, and Peter outside when Etta was going inside, and they're talking about separation and everything was beautiful as well. And the things that I would really like to see coming up, and I think would really help it, is filling in that lost time. What happened in those 3 years that Peter and Olivia were together, raising the child and married and happy, and then what happened when they split up. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that they can rein Etta in, because it's so sad that if they had had those 20 years or 21 years that they would have had with her, she would have been completely different. She probably wouldn't have, she would have more of a moral standing, which they could have taught her. But since she was taken and since she was raised by, who knows, people are theorizing Nina, and I think that's a good idea. There's a lot of things to think about, and I'm so excited for the podcast. And I hope to get Sunday soon so I can see what you guys think and what everybody else in the chat room sees and everything. So I don't really have a sign off, but Totally Addicted out. Bye.
All right, Totally Addicted. Thank you so much for that feedback. She does bring up a good point about Olivia's character, in that, Olivia is the kind of person to take things in stride and to move on,
Yeah, but at the same time, when John Scott was having his deal in the pilot, she did everything she could because she loved him.
Well, I think that's one of those fool me once, shame on me.
No.
Fool me twice, and you can't fool me again.
Oh man, that's one of my favorite videos. I don't disagree at all with what she said. I think that's why I hope Flashback comes in and helps fill in part of that story. why did Olivia make the decision that she did, and why did Peter make the decision that he did? Because I would think that if there was any clear-cut indication that they knew where Etta was, who had Etta, or anything, you know, it's clear-cut, they would both do whatever they could to get her back. So I think there must be some sort of either indication that Etta is gone forever, or no lead, or I don't know. You know what I mean? There's got to be.
Yeah.
We got to kind of fill that in to see why they would both make such different decisions.
Well, I think, you know, after losing her, they had to assume the worst, right? It's like if your kid gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
You know, of course you want them to be alive. But, you know, that's exactly, you know, it's totally in line with both of their personalities. You know, they lost Etta. Peter didn't know if she was alive or not, but he had to keep trying,
right.
Keep trying. And after a certain amount of time, Olivia had to move on and fight the observers because that's her job, you know. And she,
right.
you know, even during the John Scott thing and during the situation with Olivia and after she gets back, I mean, her default position when she starts regaining her memories from the other timeline, her default position is to go to work.
Yep.
And bury herself in her work and do her job.
That's right. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with Totally Addicted.
Okay.
In that, and I didn't see any issue with that. It was plausible to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Why don't we read a couple here, Clint? You want to read first, or would you like me to read first?
If I don't say anything, does that mean I don't have to read either one?
Nope.
All right. Let's go. I'll read.
Okay.
I'll start first, and I assume that this indented paragraph is.
That's right.
All that I'm reading.
They're staggered, yeah.
Okay. This one comes in from Michelle, aka Michelle is trouble. See, I can already not read. This is gonna be good.
Some things never change.
That's right. Back in the saddle. I feel like I need a bit of thought unifying after this episode. I was nervous, very nervous for this episode. I'm not sure I like the direction that the show is taking, and I'm afraid for our beloved characters. I feel like they are Frodo and Sam heading to Mordor with the ring. Will they make it? Will they defeat Sauron? I'm not getting any of these references.
I think it's a movie.
Okay. Will they live to the end and make it off the mountain? This episode and season is dark, and there's not a lot of light in it right now.
Yeah.
The ending scene with Walter in the car was beautiful, and I was deep in despair and searching for hope with him. I watched a show once where they lost 25 years frozen in ice. This is a Xena episode. And I hated that. And I also hate that we lost all this time and are shot into the future with Fringe. But just as the resilient dandelion grows out of scorched earth, there is always hope, a message that we need and will continue to need as the series comes to a close. I hope it comes to a close with hope and light. It's good feedback.
Yeah.
You know, I think the opinion that I expressed, you know, I've seen it expressed online and in chat rooms and again by Michelle, just that this is a different season.
Yeah.
And it's not the same Fringe. They're not in the same situation. They've been in situations characters have where, you know, a lot of times through something that they've done where they've been able to, you know, they've caused an issue and then been able to work it out. But there doesn't appear to be a whole lot of hope in this episode, and I think that final scene was very important.
Yeah, but I think there will be hope, and I think that's the point. There's not a lot of hope because their reality doesn't have a lot of hope. In fact, the fact that the Fringe team is together is probably the most hope that they've had ever since the observers invaded. So I think that's intentional.
Yeah,
it's intentionally dark, if you will.
It was dark. Even the lighting and the tone of the
exactly.
Coloring.
Yeah, it was very much. And I also say, you know, would they have skipped this far ahead if they had been given the opportunity to have as many seasons as they want? Probably not. They probably would have continued on the story for another season or two, you know, 5 to 6 seasons. And then in season 7, probably, let's say, in my mind, I don't obviously have any knowledge here, but maybe season 6 would have been Olivia and Peter and Walter and Astrid and William Bell ambering themselves, and then season 7, you know, would have been what we got here. They still probably would have skipped ahead, but there would have been more of the storyline leading up to that point.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that. They got the 13 episodes, and there was obviously a jump ahead to get to the final chapter.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, this one comes in from Lily, and I will say Lily sent in the longest and probably the most thorough email in the history of the Fringe podcast.
Wow.
I will not be reading it all,
okay,
but I do have a couple of sections I've pulled out here. And Lily, thank you for the meticulous detail that you put. And I don't mean that lightly. I mean, thank you. You did a wonderful job on that email. It was wonderful. And so I'm going to pull out a couple of spots in here. This kind of comes towards the end of what she had put together. And this is before the season premiere. So just to kind of put it in context, she says, September is pulling a bishop. By knowing the end point of a trajectory of chronological events, Peter, Walter, and September all face the same choice and will make the same choice. Armed with foreknowledge, each travels either backwards or forwards in time to the moment of truth, and using the power or technology available to him, creates a circumstance that allows for the most viable future, which would mean sacrificing himself and wiping himself or the ones he loves from existence. And then there's another section, and Lily says, I have a slightly different theory, too, that could also apply, which comes from watching Terra Nova. That show had a convenient little fact where they wormholed into another timeline so they wouldn't erase themselves in the future. It is also possible in Fringe that the observers do not wipe themselves out in the future because they come from the red universe and plan on inhabiting the blue universe in the past, thus creating a way for them to get a new planet and stay in existence, which would totally keep the door open for more crossing over in Season 5. Yes, Etta has, and this is the final point here, yes, Etta has cortexiphan in her brain naturally because although Olivia may have worn out her cortexiphan in her adventures, she's still been pregnant for a while, and there was a lot of cortexiphan in her system at the time. Let's also remember that Olivia's young brain had absorbed a lot of cortexiphan during its formative stages, which probably did a real number on her brain makeup, which means that a mere doctor in a hospital can't possibly know if cortexiphan is gone from her system or not. Walter would know after extensive testing, but not just some MD. Olivia is never faced with this choice. To her, there is no choice. She puts herself in that position without thinking, without choosing, without hesitating, every day of her life. And yes, Olivia counts as a bishop now. That comes in from Lily. So Lily, I really love your thoughts there about the Terra Nova crossover there with Fringe, and that certainly could line up with some of the things we're going to talk about in our Twinge segment here. It's a very real possibility. I kind of personally hope they don't go that route, and mostly because of the Terra Nova, which was just on last season, so it'd be awfully close to something to be getting that already. But it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. I know you haven't seen it, but if you get a chance to see a good sci-fi movie, Looper is out.
I want to see
now.
Looper in a real bad way.
And there is a tie-in with Fringe and Etta's cortexiphan ability, which I'll leave it at that.
Well, that makes me want to go see it even more.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So Lily, thank you for that feedback and for all the work that you put into that, and I appreciate it. Absolutely. All right, let's get back to the audios, and let's pick it up with Heather.
Hello, this is Heather from Utah calling in with feedback on the Fringe season premiere for the Fringe podcast. And unlike over the summer, now you get to hear my thoughts without background noise. Here I go. I'm going to say my first thought that Fringe is music. Walter says that music helps him think and see things in a different way. We can argue that Fringe helps us see things in a different way, as in seeing alternate paths taken. At the end of the episode, we hear the song Only You by Yazoo, it's from 1982, so that fits in Walter's time frame, and it's a love song. So I'm going to say Fringe isn't just music, Fringe is a love song. We hear all the stories of course, of people doing things for the ones they love and working and having hope because of love. And it's music in that all the parts or all the people are working together to make one melody or one story. I've heard it said that the last 13 episodes are one long movie, or we can say that they're one long symphony or one long opera altogether. Now going to talk about how Henrietta and Olivia are the same. They both have traumatic things happen when they were 3 years old, and they both lost their parents when they were very young and had to be raised by other people. They both chose to go into law enforcement and help people. Walter says that Etta will always be a little girl to him, and when Widmark is reading his mind, he says, "Who's the little girl who's helping you?" So even when Olivia was young, Walter knew she was strong, and she was chosen as a soldier, as one to help. And Walter calls her Olive and still sees her as little girl as well. But both are these little girls who've grown up to be into soldiers now, and we get to see them now, using both those working together as soldiers there. I enjoyed this episode very much and look forward to more. Thanks. I'm out in a flash of blue light.
All right, Heather. Thank you for calling in. I love all the parallels that she brought in between the two ladies.
Yes.
Not only do they look a lot alike, which Clint thinks is impossible. Would you like to share your theory on that, Clint?
On what?
On beautiful women having beautiful children?
No, I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I just said...
Clint's in the hot seat right now.
Did I say this? I said it in the last podcast, didn't I?
I thought it was before the podcast.
It might have been.
It might have been. I'm not sure.
I said beautiful people don't usually have beautiful babies.
And so I said he's either calling my wife or my kids ugly.
No, I just called Daryl extra ugly. That's all. It's enough to offset everything.
That's probably true. There's no denying that. No, but I really liked all the parallels that she talked about no parents and law enforcement and all these other things and a lot of really great parallels there. What are you smiling at?
Nothing. That you put me on the spot. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Do you have anything to follow up there with Heather?
Clint has locked himself in a paradox. Unique achievement. Congratulations. No, she had a lot of parallels between music and Fringe.
Yes, I like that.
And it reminded me of the Selena Gomez song and the Scene song. I love you like a love song, baby. I keep hitting repeat, Pete.
I don't know.
Because it makes me want to repeat Fringe.
Okay.
I love Fringe like a love song.
Apparently you love like a 6.5 love song.
Dude, I love this show.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so disappointed.
Okay. All right. Within the context of what your expectation for the show was.
Yes.
Okay, fine. All right. Let's move on to our good buddy, Interdimensional Dave.
Hi, friends at the Fringe Podcast. Your old buddy, Interdimensional Dave. Hope you guys are doing well. So good to have you both back. So good to have Fringe back. I have a quick observation from the Season 5 opener, and it comes from when we saw that little clip of Maverick that Markham was watching in his awesome apartment, or whatever you want to call that place. And he had, Clint Eastwood was on that little clip that he was watching from Maverick. And it reminded me, oh, geez, Clint Eastwood. There he is, the infamous or famous, depending what state you're from, red or blue, for his empty chair speech at the Republican convention. He gained a lot of notoriety. And then, wouldn't you know, later on in the episode, when Widmark is interrogating Walter, he lifts up an empty chair, and he's bringing it towards Walter in that confrontation where he preferred him as a human being rather than a vegetable. He doesn't care what happens, though. And I thought that was a little interesting bit of synchronicity, but it's not the first time we've seen the empty chair, or at least a reference to it. Back in the Season 3 episode of Marionette, Olivia was still filled with angst over Peter not recognizing the difference between her and faux Livia or alt Livia. And at the end of Marionette, they were talking together in a garden, and she was so frustrated she just get up and left him, and Peter was left with an empty chair in front of him, and all he could was stumble out the word sorry. And I don't know, it looks like a device they're willing to use. Maybe somebody has a background in psychology, because the empty chair is supposed to represent somebody who's not there, but you can talk to as a way of working through your problems. I hope we see a little more of it this season. It's kind of clever and cool. Anyway, that's my quick observation. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm glad Fringe is back once again. You guys take care. Interdimensional Dave, out.
Out. Sorry, I was
You and
muted.
your self-mute
I know.
button.
I don't even know why I got this ridiculous thing.
I should just leave it muted all the time.
You should.
You know what it reminded me of? When I had an empty chair here sitting across from me all summer long while I was doing the
Were you
rewatch.
angry at it?
I had a few conversations.
Did the chair cuss at you?
It did. Yes.
Of course, we're all talking about the Republican National Convention at which Clint Eastwood gave his impromptu performance.
Only Interdimensional Dave could find a way to work that into the vernacular of Fringe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a political comment. I'm pretty sure this episode was shot
beforehand. I'm pretty sure it was too.
But you never know.
Yeah.
They could have green screened Markham's TV and it could have been watching something else, right?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I wouldn't be surprised if they hadn't picked that part of it out.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything more to it than that. I don't think there's any type of political message being.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you vote Republican, you'll end up like the Observers.
You'll end up as a coffee table.
Yes. I don't know.
I don't know either. But it was interesting feedback, Dave. Thank you so much. All right, let's do one more, then we'll read some more here. This one comes in from Kira.
Hi, it's Kira, a.k.a. Penny from Miami. This is for the Fringe podcast. I just wanted to give a little feedback. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a little fast. I really wanted to see some more of what the aftermath was right after the Observers came out and took over. But then I have to remind myself, 13 episodes, so I got to get a lot in. I don't know if anybody noticed that when Etta was blowing the dandelion, it was, at the end of the dandelion's life cycle, spreading the seeds, and that was when, the destruction came. And the dandelion at the end was, in the middle of its life cycle, but it still represented life instead of death, which was the dandelion at the beginning. I really like the fact that came full circle. Other than that, I'm really, really excited about this season. Our 13 episodes, I think, are going to be jam-packed with lots of stuff. So I'm really excited. Take care. Bye.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I personally, I didn't pick up on the life cycle part of. I mean, I noticed that the dandelion at the end kind of represented new hope.
Yes.
But as far as juxtaposing it against the life cycle, the dandelion at the beginning of the episode, that depth of thought hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point, but it's all about going full circle and providing hope.
Mm-hmm.
Dandelions are kind of like cockroaches, as you know, if you've ever had any dandelions in your yard. You can try and kill them. You can try and oppress them, but they keep coming back.
That's right.
Kind of like human beings.
I'm like a cockroach. Is that what you just said?
You are. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's pretty much what I said.
Well, thank you for sending in that feedback, Penny.
Did you hear? Her name is Kira.
Yes.
And not Penny.
She called herself Penny from Miami.
I feel duped.
You should feel duped.
I feel
Whoever sold you that shirt,
I feel like a
duped you into thinking it was a good-looking shirt.
See, and why the insults about the fashion advice, Mr. Daryl?
Because I can.
Speaking of fashion advice, what do you say I read another?
Okay. Why don't you fashion up another email to read?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. This one comes in from Joey. Joey says, first off, I got to say how amazing this podcast is. No, that's not what he said. He said, I got to say how amazing this episode was.
Okay.
Amongst the darkness this 2036 setting has, there's something beautiful that is happening with the team back together. I have just a few notes I wanted to share with a couple of scenes. When Walter was being interrogated and is listening to music in his head, which Mark hears, they discuss the music can shift perspectives. and help to see things differently, and how Walter believes it brings hope. Widmark then says, there is no hope. Nothing grows from scorched earth.
Mm-hmm.
I love how that ties into the closing scene, which was such a great scene. Walter plays music, and he sees the dandelion growing in the scorched earth, offering hope. This may go down as one of my favorite scenes in Fringe. The mood and the music was perfect. The only thing I would change was if it was a white tulip instead of a dandelion. This episode left me with a lot of hope. Thanks. I can't wait to listen to this week's podcast. Yep.
That's funny because you said it was kind of like the white tulip moment for you.
Yeah.
Would you rather have seen a white tulip instead of a dandelion?
Well, I think the way that they tied it in with the beginning of the episode where she's blowing the dandelion seeds, I thought that was just brilliant. Just brilliant. I agree. It's going to be, it will go down as one of my favorite scenes in Fringe, probably.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't feel like there was any big, huge twist this episode, and maybe that's why my rating was lower. But I imagine when we get done with season 5, we start with Letters of Transit and we end with the finale.
Yeah.
We're able to sit down and watch them all together. It's going to be one amazing story.
Yeah, I concur.
Yep.
All right, I've got one here that comes in from Kristen/Serenity and all. She says, hey, I know y'all prefer phone calls, so I'll be brief here. Can't call in as I'm afraid I'll get too tongue-tied. Took me all season to call in last year. I'm known in the chat room as Serenity and all, which I said. Anyway, I personally loved this first episode. It flew by way too fast, though. I admit, too, that I am having a bit of time adjustment as well to the year 2036. I don't really have a lot of technical comments and such here. I just really wanted to drop a note about how much I loved the episode. I loved the scene at the black market with Walter and Etta. I was nervous that now that it was 2036, the show would be too sci-fi for me. I've always loved the cases, for the most part, and then it was the characters that really hooked me onto the show. It's their interactions and dynamics that I love, and I felt they were still very apparent and valid here in 2036. I really did love this episode and have watched it twice already. I loved most the family moments, Walter and Etta and Olivia, and then Walter and Olivia. That last one reminded me of the end of Alone in the World from Season 4, except it seems to me Walter and Olivia are closer even now, perhaps due to the loss of Etta and Peter's leaving. Then I must say the ending was fall on the floor fantastic. Walter, music, dandelion equals hope. Can't believe the enemies overlook John Noble. I really can't. Can't believe there are only 12 episodes left. Hope this was short enough. Hope I made sense. I'll try to call next time. Kristen.
All right, Christian, thanks for sending in that feedback. I think a lot of people have expressed the time adjustment, 2036, and how wonderful the scenes were between our lead characters. I mean, we got some fantastic moments.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And that dandelion scene there at the end keeps coming up over and over again, which is a true sign of the impact that scene had.
You know, and the way that the episode ended so abruptly.
Yeah.
You know, where we didn't get any, Fringe-like music, or there wasn't, the observer standing around the corner watching Walter
right.
or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice.
All right. We got 3 more to listen to here. This one is Fool Me Once.
Hello, Fringedom. Fool Me Once here. Just wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone who participated in the Fringe Summer Rewatch. I was bummed I couldn't join in, really, but I certainly got to reap the benefits of the brain trust that gathered every week, so kudos, and thank you. As for my thoughts on the episode, there are very few I can put into actual words that make recording this seem worth it, which is generally the way I like it. I like being left speechless, and this episode left me speechless. The chemistry between all the characters was so strong, and it was easy to believe that they'd lived the 4 years or so between the finale last year and being ambered. The way they were able to allude to certain things of that time period and be just slightly older versions of themselves, and giving us just enough information to make that leap with them, but not so much that it came across as they had something to prove, or they, had to justify that whole time period that we weren't there for. It was well done. Well done. I actually was a little worried Friday, right before it aired, that I was reading and watching too many spoilers. I felt like so much had already been revealed and that the spoilers were just coming out the wazoo. I was afraid that I'd actually pieced the episode together by all of the promos and pictures that had come across. And mostly I was afraid that I wasn't going to be in for much of a surprise. But then 9:01 p.m. Central Time hit, and I was like, why do I ever doubt the Fringe writer's ability to shock me? Needless to say, I'm not going to be watching spoilers from here on out, maybe just the promos, but I'm so very glad that these did not ruin the episode for me, because it was, I mean, it had its flaws, but overall, it was more than we could have hoped for. Keep doing your thing, guys. Appreciate your time and effort. This is Foamy Once leaving you with Foamy Once, shame on you, lose our daughter, and we're all probably going to die or get ambered.
Nice. That was good. Well, thank you
awesome.
for that. Thank you for the comments on the summer rewatch. It was a ton of fun, and the chat room on Friday, as I mentioned in the last podcast, was just an unbelievable experience. I missed it. I didn't realize how much I missed the chat room until everybody starts showing up, and it's like this person's here, then this person's here, and new people were here, and it was just wonderful. So come join the chat on Friday nights while the show is airing.
Yep.
Any thoughts on what she had to say there? Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything that we haven't said already anyway. I don't want to just pass over her feedback, but nothing original is coming to me either.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I'm sorry.
All right.
But yeah, we really appreciate your feedback, and thanks for sending it in. Keep it coming.
Let's hear what John had to say.
Hi, Daryl and Clint. This is John from North Carolina. Rewatch John from the Summer Rewatch. Daryl, thanks again for putting all that together this summer. That was a really, really fun time. Thanks for including me on several of them. I appreciate it. This is feedback for episode 501, the Thought Unifier Model-11. Just a couple of things that I wanted to talk about or think about. The first was the use of Ed Markham and his genuine affection for Olivia and how that was portrayed. I thought that was a beautiful touch in terms of what happened to her. I don't think, I certainly didn't see that coming. I'm not sure a lot of people would have. Thought that was a really beautiful piece of the story. The other thing I just want to point out, and I'm sure you'll talk about it, is just the outstanding work that Joshua Jackson did and explaining just in that few-minute conversation with Olivia some of the backstory of what happened after 2016, and just a phenomenal acting job that he did, and what he was able to convey just in those few minutes, and the emotion, the tearing up, just the desperation that was still there, and just pointing back to the end of that scene in Letters of Transit in 419, just made that reunion scene all the more powerful, given everything that he was going through to find her and get her. So thought it was an amazing episode, and can't wait to see how this all comes together. So thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, John. And I love the comments there about we learned that Josh or excuse me, Peter had been seeking Etta all those years. And I guess 3 or 4 years before he got ambered.
2 minutes of dialogue, and we got 20 years of backstory.
Yeah,
pretty quickly. It was well done and emotionally delivered by Josh Jackson.
That's it. Was that Josh's best scene ever?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, he's had a lot of good scenes.
Mm-hmm.
The scene that he had when Olivia was shot in the head.
The funeral scene.
Yeah.
That's the one that still comes to my mind as the best ever.
And then the scene where she got shot in the head again at the end of last season.
That's right.
Where he just loses all control of himself.
Yeah.
And I mean, all very good, very emotional scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. It was cool that Etta ended up finding him. Now, it was, when he introduced Etta to Olivia, he said, told Olivia, I found her. Well, more accurately, she found me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she totally found you. I
Yeah.
mean, you found her in the sense that you're together again, and that's what he had been looking for, which was the point of his comment, but she totally found him.
Yeah.
You know.
Luckily.
Yeah.
For him.
Right.
It would have been an Amber.
Yeah. I'm surprised we've gotten this far along in the podcast. We have one more email or feedback to listen to, and we're done with feedback. We got all the way through the first podcast, and it just now occurred to me that we have not heard any Clint singing of Air Supply songs. I thought we were going to get all kinds of Air Supply songs.
Supply?
Yeah, because the Observer's Air Supply came up, twice or three times during the episodes. I thought you were going to come with some Air Supply songs today.
I don't have any Air Supply songs. I don't even know what Air Supply sings. They're your generation, Daryl.
That's pretty accurate. All right, fine. You look up Air Supply songs because I know you know at least one or two of them.
I do know a couple.
Yeah.
I was just giving you a hard time.
And I'm going to play Adams, which is, by the way, sent his feedback in Og Vorbis format.
All right. I was just going to ask that.
Yeah.
Because you said we haven't had any feedback, and I was going to say an Og Vorbis format.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. Here's Adam.
Okay.
Although it's been now converted to AIF format, but the original is an Og Vorbis.
Shows you.
Hey, Clinton Darrow. This is Philip Bishop 14 contacting you guys for the Fringe podcast. I'm talking to you guys about Transilience Thought Unifier Model-11. And I just have a few comments, particularly on the observers. They go, and we've seen them so far being able to travel faster than, I guess, the speed of time. Although as we perceive it, it seems to be a linear form, but they may perceive it differently. But so far we've been able to see them travel both forward and backward in some way or another. Or at least September has. What we notice now in the first episode of the 5th season is that these other observers seem to have an issue with that. Or something. Because their powers is strange. They can read Walter's mind, know where and when the Fringe team could have been, and to prevent certain things from happening, couldn't they go back to stop the observers, or to stop the Fringe team, and keep that from happening? Like, they've done more than observe already. This would just help them in their task. So I thought I'd just say that. I don't know what Zero Fights is going to say, but he agreed with me in this when I mentioned it during the live show, when we watched it on Friday. I thought it was an excellent show. I gave it 8.75 evil observer tortures and a side of egg stick. So I just thought I'd point out that fact to the observers. And I should probably be going now. So I'm off to Little Hill. Bye.
All right. Thank you so much for that. So let me ask, if Zero Fights agrees with Adam,
we're going to have to invalidate Adam.
Does it automatically invalidate it?
I think it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and that was our last feedback. Right?
It does. He has, this is the question we've struggled with, over the course of several seasons, since we really learned more about the observers and time travel, and since they can go in and out of time, why did they choose this time?
I agree. I mean, all of Zero Fight's comments should be invalidated.
Right.
Oh, that's not the question you were talking about.
No, but we are going to kind of get into some of that in our twin segment.
Okay.
So why don't I just segue us right into that? What do you say?
Yes, please.
Would you like me to segue us into the next segment?
Hey, Daryl, you know what I was
Twinge?
thinking?
Yes.
If you could possibly, when you get a chance, begin to start segueing us into the beginnings.
Best segue ever.
Lame. All right.
All right.
This week's Twinge poll question of the week was, why did the observers come back to this time and this timeline? Why not the season 3 timeline? Okay,
Right.
just as a primer for everybody in the questions, we've had red verse, blue verse, although theoretically they're an infinite. There are an infinite number of universes, but
Right.
in the show we were just dealing with 2.
Right.
I'm assuming that the observers are not like omnipresent beings where they can take over an infinite amount of universes at the same time.
I think that's a fair assumption.
So I'm assuming that they just came back to this version. And this is a weird timeline because Peter came back even though they erased him out of it.
Right.
So did the observers, here's another question. Did the observers plan to erase Peter out of the timeline because he had some influence on the future that was detrimental to them, where they had the knowledge that he was going to cause problems for them, so they tried to erase him out?
I think so, and that problem was probably Edda.
Edda. Hey. All right, so answering the poll question, first was Jassykins, I hope I'm saying that right, who says they figured they had a better chance with the current timeline, so they figured that it would be more adept to taking over because everyone in our current timeline is peons and nincompoops. I'm getting blank stares from Daryl. All right, moving on to Zero Fights comments. Science team or in parentheses, the observer science team tasked to ensure this timeline, probably because it is best for them to invade. Season 3 timeline, the place is wrecked by war. Why would anybody want to come back? September, of course, is a rogue of these new observers. Lynn FDR says, why time jump into a paradox? Maybe their own existence couldn't be assured until the Bell issue was resolved.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot, yeah.
That helps center it in time. That's a great feedback. All right. Robertac18 says, can't go back to season 3 timeline. It was rewritten. That's one of those paradoxes of time travel, right? Could they go back before it was rewritten?
I don't know.
I don't know.
All
right, Joey Williams says season 1 through season 3 timeline ended in the war between the universes, ultimately ending the Redverse. Not stable living world for the observers.
I like that.
Weezer Ear says the observers, came back to crack Morpheus's mind to get the codes to the Matrix. He was only available in this timeline. I think that's the wrong movie.
I think they took the wrong pill.
Oh, yeah.
The wrong color pill.
Martini Station says September set it up so they come into this timeline and Edda would be instrumental in defeating them.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I do too.
Sean Stromer says our universe was the most stable. Redverse could not get better or any worse. Looks like we really did lose in the end. Dun, dun, dun. Lost Weather Guy says season 1 through 3 timeline was never meant to be. September's distraction of alternate leads to destruction of both. I'm assuming this is Blueverse and Redverse, and is why the observers needed Peter to bridge them, creating this timeline.
Okay.
Assume the timeline we've never seen, Peter cured by alternate would unfold similarly. That's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
If that had never happened, would it have unfolded similarly? And that was dumb. There we go. And finally, Cinewolf 23 says because the observers like the nice alternate better than the mean alternate.
That's a possibility.
That's true.
Yeah. They like the Walter that walks around without pants on better than the one who runs the DOD.
That's true. And he's kind of like Veal because he's been in that confined state.
Uh-huh.
They're going to turn him into a vegetable using observer technology. He's probably a lot more tender to eat at that point.
Probably so. If they eat humans.
I think they eat Walters.
Do android shapeshifters from the future called observers eat humans?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, and that's it for this week's Twinge segment. Daryl, do you have any comments? What do you think? What do you think the answer to that is? Why this one? Is this the one from their future? Did they come from a different future?
Well, they can. Yes, but I don't think that they are restricted to coming back to the timeline that they originated in.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Do you think that this timeline leads to the Observers?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I kind of like the comments that talked about, look, the first 3 seasons that ended up in the end of that. The result of that was that the red verse was destroyed and the blue verse was disintegrating. So that was not a stable environment for them. And then I also liked the comment that said that in this timeline, but prior to now, with the situation with Bell trying to destroy the world and create his own utopia, that again would have created a paradox for them. And so maybe they knew all those things and were just waiting for these things to work themselves out.
Okay, but if you were the Observers, why would you not do like the Terra Nova thing and go way back in time to establish
from a different timeline?
Yeah, where they wouldn't, where the volcanoes were spewing out carbon monoxide.
Right.
And you wouldn't have to worry about, killing the air and taking over and enslaving a human race, because there would be no, assumedly human race to
Maybe
take
they
over.
didn't want to have to build from scratch. Maybe they saw a section of time where, technologically speaking, it was something they could live with. And if you're contending with volcanoes and dinosaurs, that doesn't really seem like that's going to get their ties dirty.
That's true. There's no jalapenos in dinosaur time.
Right.
That's right.
There's no people to oppress either.
Yeah. But they don't enjoy oppressing people, I don't think. Do you?
I think Windmark does.
You think so?
Remember the comment he made to Broyles in 419 where Broyles asked him what he did so badly to get him this crap job down here?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I like turtles. Or specifically, he says, I like animals. I was doing some thinking about this week. You remember the episode One Night in October where we saw the 2 Johns and they both struggled with torturing animals as a child?
Yeah.
They got some sort of pleasure out of that. They didn't understand why they got pleasure out of that, but they did get some pleasure out of torturing animals. And really, you could look at it and say, well, it was because of the pain that they felt. It helped them by inflicting pain on other things or whatever. But I don't know if that's the exact same reason, but I think Windmark enjoys hurting animals, and I think he sees people as animals, nothing more than he said.
Because he's a robot.
Maybe so.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why he got that job, is because he enjoys hurting people.
But if he doesn't have any emotion, he doesn't like it. There's nothing to like, right? He's an observer. They don't have any emotions. Yeah, maybe it's just a figure of speech.
Maybe so.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they would have come back to this specific timeline, but it doesn't matter. It makes for compelling television. So
yeah, maybe they like egg sticks.
That's true. I mean, who doesn't? They're the licorice of the future.
Yeah, maybe they are. All right, well, that was some really good feedback in the Twinge segment this week. If you want to contribute to our Twinge segment, there's only one way you can be a part of that, and that is follow us on Twitter, which is GSM Podcasts. And on Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning sometime, we'll send out a question via Twitter. You respond back to us using the hashtag, boy, I can't talk, using the hashtag TFPTwinge. And that way it'll show up in our Twinge feed when we get ready to read off all the responses to the question.
Yep.
Okay. You can also call us on the Fringe phone if you want to leave us some voice feedback like the ones you heard today. That number is 304-837-2278. You can also email us an MP3 or an OGG Vorbis or M4A or any other audio format, or you can typey out an email like those that we read. And that email address is feedback@thefringepodcast.com. You can also follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/fringepodcast. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/goldenspiralmedia. And you can also, which one am I forgetting? SoundCloud.com/goldenspiralmedia.
That's right.
Yep.
Did you mention our Friendster account?
I didn't, Clint.
Okay.
I haven't told you this, but we actually closed that out.
What?
By never opening one up.
What?
Sorry.
Actually, going to tell me that our Orkut is no longer valid.
I'll save that for another time. I don't want to overwhelm you.
Oh my goodness.
And your dog died 15 years ago.
What?
Yes. We've been replacing it with a very similarly looking dog for the last 20 years.
Daryl, we had our AOL keywords linked to our Orkut social media.
Sad story, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to dial up CompuServe and take it all down now.
Yes. You can also help us out by making a donation via our donate on our sidebar. Clint, you got me off my game here. Go over to thefringepodcast.com. There in the sidebar, there's a donate button. You can check out our Cafe Press store at thefringepodcast.com/shop. And, of course, our Amazon that we mentioned. And, again, we want to say thanks to Global Cash Card, our sponsor for this season of the Fringe Podcast. Check out all the wonderful pay card, and they have pay cards and what's it called with the medical thing? I'm drawing a blank.
FSA?
No.
Flexible spending?
Flex spending cards. And
flexible spending account, or FSA.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. All kinds of wonderful pay card options over there at globalcashcard.com. So go check them out as well.
Awesome sauce.
And 2 more reminders.
So many reminders.
We've got a lot going on, man.
We just need to have the reminder podcast. We'll do 2 podcasts and have a 30-minute reminder podcast.
These are both important.
I know they are.
The Fringe finale party. Come over to the website and cast your vote in the poll, so we'll know whether or not we can expect you to be a part of our party. And
yes, and Daryl will be there doing oil wrestling in a kiddie pool,
dressed as a cat.
Oh,
kitty cat.
I didn't realize there was
kitty
cosplay.
Cosplay. We can do cosplay at the finale party. Absolutely. You're dressed like your favorite Fringe character. That'd be awesome.
Gene.
I'll be wearing dressed as Walter with boots and no pants. That'll get people coming.
I'm gonna come dressed as the fungus from last season's episode.
Alone in the World.
Alone in the World.
And of course, Fringe or Podcast Awards. Podcast Award nominations are open right now. So go over to podcastawards.com. We would appreciate your nomination in the Best Produced and in the Entertainment category. The podcast name is The Fringe Podcast. The podcast URL is thefringepodcast.com. Easy stuff.
That's right.
Yep. Anything else, Clint?
That's it. It's peanut butter jelly time.
It's peanut butter jelly time. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us this week. And until next time, stay Fringe-tastic.
And keep it nerdy.
The Fringe Podcast and Golden Spiral Media are not associated with Bad Robot Productions, Warner Brothers, or Fox. Golden Spiral Media's use of any and all copyrighted material is only for parody, news analysis, critique, and for educational purposes, as provided within United States Code, Title 17, aka Fair Use. Copyright 2012, Golden Spiral Media.